So this video is just going to be a brief recap, very brief. I can do brief, honestly, of the more noteworthy parts of the last video, the video that I put out earlier. So basically just the highlights like you get with the football. And then there's there was about 20 minutes, I think, 10, 20 minutes that I was editing until 3 a.m. I spent ages doing it. I don't want to moan. I'm not moaning, but I nearly lost my mind yesterday, and not for the first time. So I had to stop. I had to put my sanity first, and I'm so sorry. I sacrificed the end of the video, so I'm going to put it out now, just after the highlights.
Might sponsor the killer, shake it, break it, hot for the winner drop.
I travel with the Vandal football team. We work all the men and women's home games. What was it that weekend? Home game. I'm going to read it again. I travel with the Vandal football team. We work all the men and women's home games, Barrett said. We work a lot of security details, such as Finals Fest. We're at Idaho bound. Okay. Let them know that if they need anything from the police department, we do have campus police. Were campus police contacted? Were they? Were they contacted directly? Barrett said he balances his focus between UI and Moscow at large. See, that's interesting how he's written that. Can you remember? There's no danger to the community at large. I thought this was the case. They were talking about everybody else, not the students. They were saying there's no danger to normal people who just live in Moscow, the residents of Moscow. They weren't talking about the campus community. Captain of the campus division graduated with a criminal justice degree from the University of Idaho, of course. I travel with the Vandal football team. We work all the men and women's home games.
Drink this straight to my level. Watch this snow tick.
This is not a typical thing to happen in Moscow, Idaho, X said. So I think it's very disconcerting to a lot of students and a lot of people in the whole community. And Walcott added, it's a sad day for our community and we are frustrated, this is interesting, with the violence in this community and saddened and disheartened by it. He has great relationships with the prosecutor's office.
Even the initial response didn't seem to be made by people with authority.
There may have been a culture change since then, because this is 2020. A settlement winner, which was Marin Jameson, is now working for University of Idaho Athletics Department. So she was paid $160,000. In 2013, Jameson was on the Vandal swim and dive team. Her complaint began with several encounters that year with a football player, and he confronted her on multiple occasions with aggressive sexual advances, all of which she refused. She also witnessed a level harassing and intimidating other students who refused his actions. That student told football coach Paul Petrino, who didn't really care, according to the complaint. So the incident where he reached under her skirt was reported to an athletics coordinator for the swim team who called Moscow police. Police reported the sexual assault and harassment to Petrino and then athletic director Rob Spear, who allegedly never reported it to the Dean of Students. At a meeting with Jameson, Spear and Petrino reportedly told her that the university could not investigate her sexual assault because it occurred off campus, which apparently was false. Well, interesting though, because it is interesting because it felt like there was a focus with the Idaho 4 case on the fact of being an off-campus home. It's an off-campus home. So maybe it means they can't be sued, but they can investigate. I don't know. But I feel like Scott Green wanted to make that quite clear. It happened off campus. Because you didn't really need to say off campus. Or maybe it was just so that parents could be reassured, apart from the ones whose kids are not on campus. Lavelle was charged, or is it Lavelle? Lavelle was charged with misdemeanor battery and dismissed from the football team in May 2013. Spear, who'd been on administrative leave for years as the university looked into Jameson's case, was fired on August 16, 2018. Well, all that time he was getting paid. You get paid on administrative leave? I feel like you do, I don't know. Maybe it's different policy, different places. Perhaps somebody could weigh in on that. Jameson went public about her experience in a blog post in 2018 and filed the federal lawsuit shortly thereafter, KXLY reported. According to a university release, Jameson is planning to work alongside the university's new athletics director, Terry Gorlick, to further improve the culture within the athletics department, as well as the college experience of all student athletes. What if they're not athletes though? I am committed to providing the leadership needed to continue to improve the culture inside Vandal Athletics and to educate and train our coaches, staff and student athletes so our athletes have the best possible college experience in their studies, in their competition and in their personal growth, said Gorlick. I welcome a partnership with Marin in these efforts. She was a fine student and a conference champion athlete at the University of Idaho. Who are willing, God, they're taking on everybody. Every time I read anything, this person, Joe Vidot, he's working for University of Idaho. Her willingness to work with our current student athletes and work with the athletics department speaks volumes of her character and bravery. Jameson plans to visit campus in the coming months to talk with student athletes. I'm proud to see the positive changes that have taken place at Idaho since coming forward with my story, Jameson said. I'm impressed with their hiring of Terry as the new athletic director, so I'm looking forward to working with her to further improve the University of Idaho, and we'll continue to help raise national awareness to these campus issues. But just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, there's more from January this year. So, Emma Patterson, a 22-year-old senior from Boise, will walk into Memorial Gym on the campus of the University of Idaho in Moscow on Thursday and practice in front of a volleyball coach who she personally accused of physical and emotional abuse. Okay, different kind of abuse here. Patterson said She's doing it out of respect for a university attended by her mother, grandmother and great-grandmother. I think this is a problem with sororities. I don't wonder if she's in a sorority, because that's the thing. There's all this history and there's all these expectations. So many, I watched a really interesting documentary about it, and many kids go into it because, you know, they're almost born. This was expected of them from birth. You know, their parents' whole lives, they've been looking forward to this moment that their child goes into this Greek life. Never even heard of Greek life before this case, you know. And now I speak fluent Greek. I think it's important that people who are speaking out are not silenced by the school's inaction, Patterson said. I also have such a huge love for the University of Idaho and Vandal Athletics that I am not trying to let schools' inaction and abuse from this coach. I'm fighting for what I know is right. At last count, Patterson expects to be among only 9 players to arrive Thursday. It hurts your hands, volleyball, I find. Oof, don't know how you do it. For the beginning of off-season workouts for the season. Chris Gonzalez lost 6 players who transferred, including one player who was among a handful of those who have accused Gonzalez of both physical and emotional abuse over the past 2 seasons. Coffee, sorry. It's really not the right time for coffee, but never mind. One player is recovering from surgery unrelated to controversy surrounding Gonzalez, and 2 other named accusers will not attend practice out of fear of retaliation from Gonzalez, Patterson said. Okay. Those allegations have been documented in a series of stories by the Orange County Register, which through interviews and documents claim to have uncovered an alleged history of abuse and bullying from Gonzalez going back decades to his time in Southern California. A request to interview Gorlick. Gorlick's got a hands full at the moment, so you know about the other thing. You're going to know about it if you don't, so bear with. I feel like it's important not to forget about the University of Virginia murders on the same day. Apparently it was this guy that committed the murders, but it happened on a big football day. They both happened on a big football day. These are the victims. There were 2 other people shot though and injured.
Authorities now taking Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. into custody, a student at the University of Virginia who police allege shot at least 5 people on a campus bus, killing 3.
They were Devin Chandler, a second year from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Lavelle Davis, a third-year student from Ridgeville, South Carolina, and Deshaun Perry, a fourth-year student from Miami, Florida. All 3 were members of the football team.
I have 2 people shot. One person's at the UVA box office, lay down, and one person's at the Colbert Garage, shot in the chest. Another woman shot, where you shot at? In her leg.
The shots first reported at 10:30 p.m. at a garage near the center of campus in Charlottesville.
I heard the gunshots when they originally happened. I'm terrified.
Members of the football team, the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers on the day before played Pittsburgh, interestingly enough, and they were absolutely thrashed by the looks of it, 37-7 by Pittsburgh. But it was only only one survivor and one of the victims of the shooting that actually played the day before. Deshaun Perry, so he's friends with Mike Hollins, and he talked Mike Hollins, who also plays on the team, and he talked Mike Hollins into going on this trip, this theatre trip, and Deshaun Perry was killed, and Mike Hollins, the running back, Mike Hollins, who almost didn't go on the field trip, almost got away to safety the first time. He went back on the bus, I think, to help his friends, and almost didn't the second, lay unconscious in the University Hospital, 36 staples in his body and a breathing tube down his throat. He regained consciousness midweek. But there's another person who was injured. Who was the other person? Sure there were two injured. Might have been a member of staff, actually. But I'll put this article. This is a really interesting article. It's one of those long form articles. I'll put this article in the comments or the description. Remind me if I forget. So I'm very forgetful. Interestingly, after watching a play about Emmett Till, I just found that astonishing. I don't know if you know the story of Emmett Till, but if you don't, you need to look it up, because pretty horrendous what happened to this young man in Mississippi. He was staying with some family down there. He was from Chicago. Really interesting and horrific. So if you can see on the right that they had an open coffin for him. That's his mum there. And that is actually Emmett Till. That's how horrendously he was beaten. He was basically lynched. What happened in the story is a matter of dispute. Apparently flirting with, touching or whistling. I'd heard whistling is what rings a bell with me. And I only recently read the thing that said touching, but I don't know what it was, but if anything. But look, he's 14. Horrific. So she had an open coffin because she wanted people to see what had been done to him. It's just, God. And I don't know if people caught this or if any other have been watching videos recently, so I don't know. On Idaho 4, been having a little sabbatical. So I can imagine Bubbly Waters might have covered this. So I won't say too much about it, but University of Idaho football players may face criminal charges after weekend fight. Moscow police responded near campus just before 11 p.m. because of a large fight with multiple people, according to dispatch report from Moscow Police Captain Tyson Barrett. And Tyson Barrett said witnesses reported many of the people involved were football players. The fight took place at a party with nearly 100 people attending, Barrett said. 2 to 3 students were treated by EMTs at the scene. The department is currently questioning people who are part of the athletic programme and reviewing video footage of the night, Barrett said. No one has been arrested or charged as of Friday, so I'm not sure if they were. Then Blaine Eccles wrote to one of the injured, as we know, Dean of Students, we've seen him before, wrote to one of the injured students in an email Monday that the school has opened an investigation into the fight. In the email, he said the incident was a tumultuous event involving a lot of people. A tumultuous event involving a lot of people. And that the student was on the receiving end of some physical altercations. While I don't know why this... What a politician's answer. While I don't know why this occurred, I want to make sure you're okay, Eccles wrote. He then encouraged the student and member of the Beta Theta Pi... I'll try that again. The Beta Theta Pi fraternity to respond to officials reaching out about the incident to assist with the investigation and offered resources for mental health help. Director of Athletics Terry Gorlick, who's probably... Oh my God, I thought it was all going to be better, and now look at this, said she and the school's football coach, Jason Eck, are aware of the incident from Saturday that involved members of the football team and that they are currently prioritising the health, safety and well-being of their athletes. I think you need to be careful about... assuming that the frats are the alphas. I don't think they're bad boys. And I've seen my fair share of bad boys, I am afraid to say. And I think they are... Yeah, they're not. They're not. I think that somebody has that 4chan thing, I think, was very targeted, shall we say. So I think there was double targeting. I'm not saying it was Brian Koberger, may have been, may not have been, but I think that they were just... Somebody dropped a minute. If you know anything about 4chan, read up on 4chan. You know anything about 4chan, you can't trust what's on there. Very controversial. So, Gorlick, we are working together to bring resolution to this situation. A solution to this resolution. None of the players have been suspended, and Gorlick does not know how many players were involved, she said. Beta Theta Pi president Michael Farris. Isn't that the guy who does that? The videos with...
Up, it's Mies and Max.
Mies and Max.
We're running it for the first time ever.
First time. We'll see how this goes. Asking something that they've done and never told their parents about.
Said their chapter is cooperating with police and the university at this time. They are looking to get this issue properly and promptly handled so that our fraternity and the Greek community do not have to continue to worry about the football players acting in this criminal manner. Continue. So has this been an ongoing thing? Because if we look back at what Jason Eck, or the other guy, said the day after, when they did their press conference that they do after games, what they said, let's have a look. I think it's very disconcerting to a lot of students and a lot of people in the whole community. And Walcott added, it's a sad day for our community and we are frustrated, this is interesting, with the violence in this community and saddened and disheartened by it.